But underlying the abilities of cells to take such different forms, the construction of all cells is based on several common properties. A membrane called the plasma membrane segregates the interior of the cell from the external environment. The plasma membrane contains systems that control import into export out of the cell. There are systems to use energy sources to build cellular components from food sources. Genetic material contains the information needed to produce all the cell's components. Gene expression enables the cell to use its genetic information. Individual protein products can assemble into larger structures. A cell is circumscribed by a membrane consisting of a lipid bilayer. It is a macromolecular structure built from lipids. The key property of the lipid is that it is amphipathic. One end is a hydrophilic head, and the other end is a hydrophobic tail. Each leaf of the lipid bilayer has one side consisting of an array of the hydrophilic heads, while the other side consists of the hydrophobic tails. An aqueous environment is essentially an ionic milieu that causes the hydrophobic tails to aggregate, so that the hydrophobic sides of each leaf can come together to form a non-ionic center, much like an oil drop in water. The hydrophilic heads of the two leaves face into the ionic milieu on either side of the lipid bilayer. The lipid bilayer is permeable to water but impermeable to ions, small charged molecules, and all large molecules. Differences in the ionic environment on the two sides of the membrane can create osmotic pressure, a situation in which water moves across the membrane to dilute the concentration of ions on whichever side has the more concentrated ionic environment. The plasma membrane separates the contents of the cell from the external environment. For a unicellular organism, the external environment is the exterior world. For a multicellular organism, it may be created by other cells within the organism. The plasma membrane has no structural strength. In fact, it is rather fragile and easily broken. As a result, the integrity of the cell usually requires the plasma membrane to be supported by some underlying system with more tensile strength. A cell needs to regulate its interior environment to enable its systems to work properly. In particular, ionic levels and pH must be controlled. The impermeability of the membrane creates a need for special systems within the membrane to move ions in and out of the cell. A cell must import material from the outside, in particular, sources of energy, which are substrates for metabolism, and small molecules that are precursors for the coagulaxy A14.5 G assembled into larger molecules and structures.